What is going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson. Happy Labor Day from all of us at the Sports Arena. It is Monday night, and it is the final Monday before the NFL season kicks off. And we saved, in my humble opinion, the best division for last. That is, in fact, the NFC East, featuring the Commanders, the New York Football Giants, that team down in Texas, not named the Texans. I will say their name maybe once or twice this evening, so let me get it out the way. The Dallas Cowboys and the 2022 defending NFC champion, NFC Division East Division champ. We just the champs in the NFC East and the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right. Thank you very much. Just had to make sure all y'all heard that. So, it is Labor Day. People spend time with their families. I'm sure at some point everybody will be chiming in. But if there's one guy I knew who was not going to miss the show tonight because he will have nothing but exemplary things to say about his beloved football team. It is ASU Forks Up, my brother of 16 years. Mike Carrottenuto was in the house.
What's up, baby? And we've also had Sun Devils that should be in the Hall of Fame that were Cowboys, a.k.a. my boy Woody, your boy Woody.
I will agree with you that Woody should be in the Hall of Fame, yes.
But, no, happy Labor Day, man. And, it's look, Jamar, you've had some good comments the last few weeks, but don't give us the AFC North. Everybody talk. Hey, that's fine, Jamar, because remember, wasn't it last year, Eric? Yeah, it was last season. Everybody talking trash about the NFC East going to be the worst coming into last season. And by record, what was the best division in football last year?
Yeah, that was our division.
Oh, that's right, the NFC East. So, Jamari, take that to the bank, buddy. We're here for you.
Speaking of that, let's remind everybody what we did last year with regards to our picks. Now, of course, Mike was the only person who was right with his team just because, well, listen, it was a homer pick for him. Megan wasn't off by much. And I have to give a lot of love to the big guard because he had my Philadelphia Eagles a lot further ahead than I anticipated them to be. Just because, listen, I am a realist. I understand that there is a change. But maybe not this year. I don't know what I'm going to do just yet. You guys have to wait and find out. But let's get to it, Mike. It's me and you tonight, man. John's putting the kids to sleep. Megan's doing baseball. Ty is handling little guard, and I'm sure Ray is out there bowling 250 and 260s like it's going out of style. So,
speaking of bowling, real quick before we get started, I threw 239 last.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah, I finally
coming into the big leagues.
I mean, yeah, because I've been around like 210, 215. And I'm like, God, man. I'm like, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's get going. Let's get rocking.
All right, so let's start with the team that you and I are like. Well, we don't anticipate them doing much, but we never know with them. Here's the thing. Eric Bieniemy is now the offensive coordinator. He has come over from Kansas City, so it's going to be interesting to see what Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, who was still questionable, Logan Thomas, who's also questionable, as according to the depth chart, what this team is going to look like. Now, again, last year, what did they do? 9-7. I'm sorry. Yeah, 8-8-1.
8-8-1, yeah.
8-8-1 was their tie, But like Mike said, our division, the NFC East, had the most wins.
And the only division in football, Eric, without a team under 500.
Right. And at one point, the only division where all four teams could have been represented in the postseason.
Right.
We were talking about this last year. There was a true possibility at one point last year where it could have been an NFC East divisional round and conference championship playoff.
Yeah.
So with Washington, what do you see with this look, Mike, and what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, look, we don't know if Chase Young's going to week one, if he's going to play, they're playing the Cardinals. So, I mean, yes, no NFL player, because, that's a statement I can't stand. I know, John and I go back and forth, and Ray's even said it, but not as much as John, is saying a team's trash. Just like all these people are like, oh, our college team would beat, the 0-17 team. You'd get killed. Like, we know they can play defense. Here's the thing. With Ron Rivera, they're going to punch you in the mouth. That's one thing we can count on. So if Chase Young doesn't, play week one, okay, is it concerning? Yes, obviously coming off the injury, as we know. But look, Rest in peace, our brother, Alex Fleming, Montez Sweat. We still need to get that cologne out there for him, Eric.
Yes,
But
you.
no, but I mean, look, if those two are on the ends, I mean, come on, good luck. I mean, as much as I can't stand where Chase Young went to school, I know how dominant he was and what he did when he, his rookie year. I mean, as a rookie, you and I saw it. I mean, division games didn't matter, but the whole season we saw it. So look, on the outside, I mean, that team inevitably is good. And then you look at, I mean, linebacker wise, I mean, I think they got a little bit to prove. In the secondary, I love what Kendall Fuller did last year. I know and their free safety, Dark Forest. I mean, just watching them in the preseason a little bit, like, I mean, defensively they can ball out. On the other side, Eric, real quick, I mean, Terry McLaurin, yeah, if he's on the field, you and I know he can put up the numbers. But running
But he's their only weapon, though.
No,
I mean,
not-
listen, no
not-
disrespect to Logan Thomas, but the fact that these two guys sitting right now, 3 days before the season start, are questionable.
right.
You know what I mean? So then, who are you going to? John
I mean-
Bates, Cole Turner? What? Come on, man.
Right. No. But I'm just saying, like, look, if you look at it, I mean, look, Brian Robinson Jr., I mean, obviously he had the shooting last year. We're all happy to see him.
Listen,
get
stud
back
running back, he is going to show out. That is
Right.
my guy for most improved player between last year and this year. I've already said that.
Right. Oh, no, I can see that. But I'm just saying, like, but now him playing a full season, what he was able to do the second half of the season, Antonio Gibson, I mean, as we know, Eric, not the biggest back, but less is more. I mean, that's going to be a nasty two-headed monster. I'll give him that. The offensive line, I know, teeny bit of a question. For a team that went 8-1 last year, I mean, look, their defense, just like last year, until the injuries came. I mean, and they kind of, it was like a domino effect. Once one went down, a few went down defensively. Offense actually stayed pretty healthy, decently healthy last season. But their defense, we know, keep them in most all games.
All right, so really quick.
Can they outscore?
Let me. All right, so let's run down this. I mean, first off, they open up against your neighborhood fellows, the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
Then they go to Denver.
Right.
Then they're home for Buffalo.
Right.
And then their first divisional matchup is at Philly week 4. They've got the Bears, the Falcons, Giants, and then, I mean, we play them twice in the month of October. So we're getting the Commanders out of the way early. I'm very surprised at that. Then they got Patriots, Seahawks, Giants, Cowboys. That's Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a major game for you.
Right.
Their bye isn't until week 14 after they play the Dolphins, which, that says to me something as far as where their bye lands. Because after that, they got the Rams, the Jets, the 49ers, and then they finish with you again, the Cowboys. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, okay, I have no love for the Cardinals this year. So guess what? That's a win for them. At the Broncos, I got to see what Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I'm so used to saying Sean Payton.
He wishes Drew Brees could still play.
Yeah. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson got, but again, it's in Denver. I don't know. Buffalo, you're going to lose there. Philly, Washington. Oh, listen, I'll say this. Washington was the first team last season to give us our first loss. Okay, we were undefeated until we got to Washington. All right. Call it, we got ahead of ourselves, call it a trap game, call it a divisional rivalry. I don't care what you want to call it. But it's at Philly, so I'm not worried about that one. Then they've got the Bears, then they got the Falcons. They're at the Meadowlands for the Giants, and then we go to them, the Eagles do to play them. Just taking those first 9 games, I could see, arguably, Washington with a potential winning record. Just because
after the Eagles, they follow with the Patriots. And look, we said in the NFC West, we thought the Seahawks would be, or at least I said I thought the Seahawks would be the major, headache for the Niners.
Right.
And we still have to see what the Rams do getting healthy.
Exactly.
I mean, Cooper Kupp, I know, has had the setback, but talking NFC East. But, like, you're right. I mean, they could, if they're floating around 500, I think, and again, it's not even because I can't stand them, but I'm saying from a journalistic standpoint, like they could be floating around 500. I'm with you because we don't know. Look, everybody's ripping on Mac Jones and the Patriots. Hey, like we said last week, Bill Belichick got one of the top, if you don't want to say the top 3 DB in the draft. And that man we know, unfortunately, can coach defense. Like the Patriots are another team, like I said last week, are going to be their defense will keep them in games.
Right. And we know that.
Right, and if the Commanders are floating around 500, man, and you're saying going into more division games, I mean, if I look at their schedule and you went through it, and I hate doing this because it's on paper, I see five, and I'll even put Seattle in there because I think defensively they match up well with. I see maybe six wins if you're a Commanders fan you think you could get.
Okay, and I'll give you those six. Here's my six that I see them winning: Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
They'll split with the Giants,
Okay.
Patriots.
Mm-hmm. And then Seattle is my sixth.
How many
But
did
the
I get?
Broncos
How
too.
many?
You
I
just
gave
said
you
the
five.
Broncos. Well, no, you said the Broncos too. So I mean, that's week two. So
Just
I
because
mean,
I got to see it, and I think they got to. Yeah.
right,
So I mean, okay. So my pick is 7-10. I say they
right,
go 7-10, just because I got to see what Bieniemy does with this offense.
right.
But I know we reserve the right to change our picks, and we've only got a couple more days left. I'll put it to you like this: if McLaurin and Logan Thomas are both in the mix the start of the season, and they are consistent, I can see them getting 9 wins.
Okay,
Without the two of them being questionable throughout the season, and things can happen, plus looking at their schedule, where they play versus who they play.
right.
But as of right now, I'm not going to meet in the middle. I'm going to say 7-10. I'll change my mind within the next couple of days and give you my final answer. But right now, I look at Washington and I say 7-10.
Yeah, because then even to piggyback on the schedule, I mean, after their bye, you get Miami, but then you're
No,
at
Miami's before the bye.
no. That's what I'm saying. You get Miami before the bye, and then you get your bye. Or no, you're home for Miami. Sorry, they're home. They get the bye, then they travel out to
To
LA
LA. Yeah.
to take on the Rams.
Yeah.
So you get Rams at Jets, seeing where depending on where they're at. I mean, their division, we think could be they could be in it. And then you get San Fran, which may have wrapped up their division, and then they get to close out the season with Dallas. And again, if that game means anything for the Cowboys, then a whole different story. But that's crazy. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go. Actually, I'm going to because they're not going to get a tie this year. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go 8-9.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 8-9 because you know me, I love defense. And like you said, and here's my thing to your offense. You're 100% right. I mean, if it extends past week 3, so like if it extends past the end of September and they're on and off the field, then yes, it puts more on Brian Robinson Jr. See, look at that, Jamar. I knew you had good records there. Look at that. Um, but if it extends past that, like I'm with you because it's going to be tough for Eric Bieniemy. Hopefully, though, Eric, Mr. Bieniemy doesn't practice them too or coach them too hard. I know that was kind of blown up, and we talked about it for a minute. But come on, man! Like you go. I know when we talked about it, like I was like, all right, it's just media's reporting. But like, if these players did that, like, I'm sorry, like. That's why every generation says a generation behind him is softer and weaker. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like,
It
I'm not
is.
saying he's, berating him and physically beat. Nobody's saying that, but come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, you're playing a sport that so many people wish they could play on the highest level, being paid millions of dollars. Put yourself through the workout and put the best product, put the best version of yourself out there.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. We're going to
Yes.
save our two teams since it's just you and me. We're going to save our two teams for last because we're just going to go back and forth. So let's talk about that team that shocked a lot of people at the beginning of last season, going 6-2, knowing that all they had was Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. And that is, in fact, the New York football Giants. And again, I'm still in shock at how this team started, how they finished. I mean, listen, we gave them a record of you were the only one, Mike. You, sir, were the only one to give the Giants any love last year. All of us had them 4 wins, 5 wins.
Yeah.
They finished 9-7-1, beat Minnesota in a playoff game that they shouldn't have beat Minnesota in. But
Oh,
again, as I always say, Kirk Cousins is scared to succeed after
yeah.
4:25
That had
Eastern
nothing to do
Standard
with Kirk
Time.
Cousins. That had everything to do with Brian Dable's offensive game plan. But yes, you can pile on Kirk Cousins. I agree.
I'm going to.
I
You
know.
just
Oh, I
know I'm
know.
going to.
I ain't trying to stop you because I'd be getting run over.
But I'm just saying, it's crazy to think that Brian Dable has this team constructed in such a way that
Right.
everybody has bought in, everybody drinking the Kool-Aid, everybody is there. And for so many people, going from last year to this year. Granted, how you finished was great, but it's a brand new season. But it seems like, to me at least, they've made few changes. I mean, yes, the addition of Darren Waller, okay, that's great. You've got Slayton, you've got Campbell. I'm looking at this right now. I'm looking at their defense. You were talking about the defense of the Commanders. I think the Giants' defense this year, being together now for a full season, I think is going to be a lot better. Thibodeau, I'm excited to see what he does. I'm excited to see what Adoree Jackson does. You know, I look at
I'm
this,
just so proud of you. Hold on. I'm so proud of you. The two guys you mentioned, where'd they play their college ball? Oh, that's right, in the Pac-12, who was undefeated this weekend. But it doesn't mean anything because some of them played some jokers. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
I was trying just to give you some flowers, and you just had to run with
No,
it.
I'm so happy. I'm just happy.
You couldn't just accept it and be just like, oh, look at.
I am accepting in a happy way. I might maybe pick Philly one more time this year.
Oh, Mike, I might do it. I might do it Christmas Eve. I'm telling you, I might do it. John might just.
I'm just telling you, if I got the money, if I can swing it, and depending on how much it is, I might fly out, see you for Christmas Eve, and then fly back here Christmas Day and spend with the fam because I want to go to that game.
I know. Hold on, real quick. Let me just say this. Shout out to my girl Tone Johnson. I said on the Commanders. Listen, Tone. Here's my thing, real quick. I'll just say, huh?
Is she a Commanders fan?
She actually has done some work with them inside
nice.
their in their office. So, and she's a scout. She scouts all over. Wonderful, wonderful woman, man. I love talking to her. Every time something goes on like big, and a huge shout out to her for connecting me with the National Coalition for Minority Coaches, because that was huge. But what I said about the Washington Commanders was, if Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas are healthy, this team, I see them with 9 wins. But the fact that they're still questionable on the depth chart as of today, season starts on Thursday, we know what their defense is going to be. I got to see what Bieniemy has this offensive doing. Because I'm sorry, Sam Howell just is a guy that's really going to have to. We talk about having a prove-it year.
Yeah.
Sam Howell just needs to come out the gate like firing on all cylinders and be consistent the first part of the season for everybody to kind of raise a little eyebrow and say, we need to start paying attention to him. I know what Brian Robinson's going to be, Brian Robinson Jr. I've already said, in my opinion, he's going to be the most improved player from last year to this year. But 7-10 is what I said, with the preface that if Scary Terry and Logan Thomas are healthy, I can see them doing 9-8. And once again, the NFC East being the division where all 4 teams have an above 500 record. That's where I feel.
And Eric, I'll say this to her too. And again, I know it was Megan's guy. And again, he did show out. I mean, he played well within the, constraints of what they wanted him to do. But having Heineke gone, I think helps Hal. I know Jacoby Brissett's the backup too, which again, the guy's a career backup. He shows in spots he can win games. He can run your offense, which is fine. But I think with Heineke gone, I think that's probably even better because the Commanders fans, and again, it's natural of fans to like, oh, come on, he's doing this, 1 interception, put the backup in, really? Okay, But I think that'll be big too. But
all right, so let's go to the Giants because typically what happens week 1, Monday night, we get the Giants and the Cowboys.
No, Sunday night. Sunday
night, excuse me, Sunday Night Football. Thank you. Yes. They get the Giants and the Cowboys. So immediately we get an NFC East divisional rival from jump, and we see how these two teams are. Now, listen, we already know I'm going with the G-men. That's just how I am. So I'm looking at their schedule, again, like you are, Mike. And again, Cowboys, Cardinals, that's 2 wins in my opinion. At the 49ers, okay, that's a loss versus Seattle. Geno Smith back in the Meadowlands. I have to see what happens there because I'm not really sure.
True.
Then they go to Miami.
When?
Then here's the thing. They go to Miami. They go to Buffalo. They play Washington. And then they play the Jets. That stretch in October, I think, is really going to be where we see what the Giants are about this season. Those 4 teams. And I think then, because after that, you got Raiders, Cowboys, Commanders, Patriots, a bye, Packers, Saints, Eagles, Rams, Eagles.
Outside the Eagles, look, up until the bye, I'm 100% with you. I'm picking up what you're throwing down because, that's a long stretch. For anybody, but they get it 13. But again, if they're, like you said, last year they started 6-2 and then they finished what, 3-5-1 or
3-5, yeah.
Yeah, 3-5-1 because they also had a tie. Only division everybody above 500 and 2 teams had a tie. If you bet on that, you're probably not watching us because you probably own your own island
Pretty much.
somewhere. Yeah,
And
but
you should invest in us so we can join you on the island.
exactly 100%. We'll do the show from there. We'll prop you up. No,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I'm picking up what you're throwing down because after the stretch, I mean, yeah, you get obviously the Eagles late, like you said, but I mean, Packers again. I'm not completely outselling Jordan Love, especially when again the Packers have a defense that's gonna be able to make some plays. But the Saints, again, I'm big on Derek Carr. It's in New Orleans. We'll see, but at Philly, the
See,
Rams,
I'm bigger on Cam Jordan and that defense than I
right.
am on Derek Carr.
All right. I mean, fair enough. I'm just saying, like our guy Big Guard says. I mean, Carr's been doing it too. Him and I were on that page.
No, yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm with you. Like, it's a stretch to where, I mean, if you go into your bye and, after week 13 or week 12, so they play week 12, week 13 is their bye. I mean, if they're around, 7-5, like, it's huge. Because look, the Jets, I'm just saying, like, Brian Dable is familiar, ish with the Jets, but at the same time, like, I mean, look, there's no way they're beating Dallas week 1, but that's fine. The Cardinals here, I mean, yeah, that's a win. The Niners game, look, I mean, they got 30% of their offense back. That's what Giants fans are excited for because when you weren't having Saquon Barkley, you know me, I love Saquon. I just wanted him not to sign until after week 1, get the bonus after week 1 because it would have helped my cause a little bit on defense, but that's okay because I don't need excuses from you and every other Eagles and Commanders and Giants fans saying, well, Saquon didn't play. That's why you got the win. Okay, that's fine. But I will say that, like, I love what Brian Dable did. And Waller, I mean, like I said, in Oakland, I think when Derek Carr started to go on that trajectory, I mean, when Waller was healthy, man, he's right there, with Kelsey, with Kittle, was Mark Andrews, in my opinion, from Baltimore. I mean, he puts up the numbers and he's getting paid, so he could care less if people talk about him. But Mark Andrews just seems to do it every year. I mean, even like before Lamar Jackson, and with Lamar Jackson. So like, but Waller's a huge pickup. And I mean, that's just going to benefit Saquon Barkley too, because it's a big bodied guy that, yes, can block in the run game, but those underneath patterns. And if Saquon's leaking out, I mean, if Eric, if you're the other linebacker, I mean, you see Waller coming right across your face, where your eyes going to go? Or the 6'7" dude that's right there. So, I mean, look, offensively, I think Daniel Jones took a huge step up after week 1 when we saw, I mean, it was very famously, we talked about it last year on TV, Brian Dable just kind of, talking to him, not like, but just emphatically about, he threw an interception in the red zone. He's like, you can't do that anymore. Like, there's no need to do that. But put this around you. You have Saquon. And, when you look at their, I mean, with Saquon, I mean, Matt Breida in San Francisco proved again, as a change of pace back, it's pretty good. And that's what Brian Dable needs. So, I mean, look, last year, like I said, they did turn a few heads because I know they were 4-0, Eric, and then 6-2. But yeah, to finish 9-7-1, I mean, I'm unfortunately, like I said, I think them and the Cowboys split this year, but I think it's that kind of year where they each get the victory on each other's home field because I think
so they split. That's fine.
But yeah, I mean, I could see the Giants going 10-7.
Wow. You're giving them a little more love than I am, sir. Just because of what I've seen. And again, listen, he had a completion percentage last year of 67.2, threw for over 3,000 yards. Saquon rushed for over 1,300 yards last year. But again, it's the wide receivers. I've got to see more out of that core.
100%. I was gonna say,
like their wide receivers last year: Slayton, Tony, Richie James.
Well, Tony's gone.
Tony's gone, exactly.
Right.
So it's like, what do you?
Well, you got Darius Slay. Look, Sterling Shepard, I think, started to come on. I know he got banged up.
But Sterling Shepard
Isaiah Hodgins,
he is on the decline of his career. All right, that's just how I feel. You can't stay healthy when you are in. Everybody knows that you're going to be the go-to guy. So what do? They just double team you, and then you've got somebody else who we've never heard of trying to play wide receiver. Come on,
well, that's why I think
the Giants do not have a true wide receiver 2. Okay. And I don't know if this year is going to be any different.
Well, Darren Waller could be that guy.
Who?
Darren Waller.
He's a tight end, though.
Doesn't matter, right? But you just got to get the ball downfield.
Okay. If you can, if which we know Daniel Jones can do, and here's the one thing that we keep forgetting about, and as Philly fans, we never forget about it. Daniel Jones can actually run.
Run.
All right, and
We
as
just don't
scary
forget
as
about
that
it because he
is,
fell down. He fell down because he couldn't
well,
go anymore.
whatever. He was out of gas. But what I'm saying to you is that boy can run. So
Right.
you need to account for where he is. Did he deserve the 4-year, $160 million contract that he got after that one fantastic season? No. But I have to acknowledge the fact that I'm very surprised. I will say this to you before I give my pick. I'm very surprised that Saquon did not hold out longer.
Well, he
But
got an extra $1 million.
I'm actually thankful and impressed that he decided to go the route that he did.
Well, right, because they gave him an extra $1 million. It's
Yeah.
a short-term deal, and they can't franchise him next year. So,
Right.
do I think he's going to ball out? Do I think it's opposite of who is it we were talking about?
Josh
Oh,
Jacobs.
John. Well, no,
Oh,
Jonathan.
Jonathan Taylor.
Taylor, yeah, because
Yeah.
even though I know he's on the pup, but if he wasn't, he bangs up a shoulder. Well, instead of a week, he's like, oh, it's still bad. Like you're gonna get guys in 2 weeks. I mean, look, Jacobs got 12 million. He got a little bit of a bump too, and I just think it's funny how I heard on the radio. I was flipping through and they were running a promo for a show and said if Anthony Richardson is good, it doesn't matter who his running back is. Yeah, if Jonathan Taylor's back there, like it does. Like I'm sorry because we always talk about like talent levels, and that's where John and I go back and forth, Eric. And you've heard it. Like,
yep,
I get that. Yes, if I look at a Jerry Rice throughout history, a Randy Moss, receivers of that ilk, and then I go to defense. I look at guys like freaking Lawrence Taylor, Ronnie Lott. You saw that growing up. I mean, people in the 70s obviously saw the steel curtain and what those linebackers, how they just killed people. And then you get like, the doomsday defense. I mean, you guys, obviously in the 90s too with the Eagles. I mean, when Reggie White was still there, but like just that defense that you guys had, like, don't tell me it doesn't matter. There's different levels of talent. If you put, a running back out there that's not picking up, blitz schemes, that's getting your quarterback killed, obviously it matters. And this whole devalue, I mean, my theory is this is so funny too. And I know we're talking MCs. I'm going to say this real quick because everybody says, oh, well, the running back market, this and that. Well, if it doesn't matter, just trade them. Who cares? Get rid of them. It doesn't matter who plays running back. I mean, that's the media, obviously, dialogue saying, oh, running backs, and we've seen it, like they're not getting paid. There's not the market. A guy like Derrick Henry got his bag a few years ago, well deserved, because he's still stiff arming people like they're in grade school and he's not. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Colts, it's like, fine, man. Like, if it doesn't matter, and that's the dialogue, I want to hear these people say, why don't you just trade him then? Just get rid of him. Oh, well, I mean, then you hear, well, I mean, he's a really good player. Well, I mean, then you got to pay the man.
Apparently he's not. If you're like, oh, it doesn't matter, he's at the position.
Yeah, exactly. When people, it's like I said, it's a both sides of the mouth thing.
So what you gave the Commanders is what I'm going to give the Giants. I'm going to give them an 8-9 record just because I just have to see what the wide receiving core is going to look like. Slayton, Campbell, Shepard. We know Waller is there, and I'm excited to see his impact. But again, to me, it's more what we saw last year. It's going to be the Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley show, and then on the defense, D-Law, Thibodeau, like I said, Adoree Jackson, and Okiriki, Bobby Okiriki.
The middle line,
Yeah, I want to see what they do. All right, we're going to take a real quick break, ladies and gentlemen, because when we come back, Miles just tell you right now, it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys Philadelphia Eagles show with Mike Carrot-Tenuto and your man Eric Wilson. We'll be back in just a moment.
Audio Jungle.
Scouting Combine, January 8th through the 12th, 2024, Indianapolis, Indiana. Man, and Mike will attest to this, just to see the impact that these young athletes go through, a full week of testing, the All-Star Showcase, and the ability to see where they rank, to see how they stack rank in all levels of football on that next level as they continue their journey. It's amazing to see what happens. I'm excited for this year coming up. Um, it's going to be great. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. All right, Mike Carrottenuto. Oh, let's just get to it. Again, we're discussing the NFC East. We've already talked about those two teams at the top, the Commanders and the New York Football Giants. Let's get to our two teams. You know, you would think after 16 years, this guy across from me, my brother Mike Carrottenuto, and I would be used to the rhetoric that is spewed every time our two teams play each other, but we seem to come up with new and fun ways to continually poke at each other. The one thing I will never do again is sit here and do a 3-hour broadcast with Mike Carrottenuto on a Monday Night Football matchup,
That was your
watching as my
idea.
Philadelphia
That was
Eagles
your
get.
idea.
I know it was.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me.
Okay.
Listen, I was trying to
Hey,
emulate
it started
the Manning
out good
brothers.
for you. I was a little worried. It started
Well,
out pretty good that first
yeah.
quarter and a half.
Yeah, I know. But then it went by the wayside. So yes, Mike, let's talk about your team, the team that you love oh so much. There it is. You can see it on the screen. Your quarterback, your number 88. And again, you were the only person. 12-5, Mike. 12-5. Congratulations to you for not only being right, but for knowing your team. But Mike, this year, got some questions for you, brother. First off, let me ask you, because we haven't talked since this happened. How do you feel about the whole now addition of Trey Lance?
I mean, look, the Niners took a chance on him and they traded up, didn't go with Mac Jones. I mean, look, when I saw him play, I know he only played one game in 2020 because of COVID. And not that he had it, but because what it did to the season, and he only played one game. Look, athletically, before he got hurt, I mean, that torrential downpour in Chicago last year, he didn't look too bad. It's just kind of hard to hold on to the ball and everything. Then he gets hurt in week 2. Like, I mean, if you can develop a decent backup quarterback, I know Cooper Rush obviously is, there, but look, if he's not going to come in right away. I don't think Dak Prescott, yeah, you should want competition. We always talk about it, and these teams that, Belichick talked about it. They got rid of guys. And I know throughout the years, you and I are like, dude, they traded that dude. I'm like, he's not on the downside of his prime. He's like in his prime. And they're like, we're not paying you. So have a good day. And I mean, they won a ton of regular season games, went to the playoffs, as we know, stuff like that. So look, I mean, I'm not saying that, and everybody's another thing about, like the running backs, like Jerry Jones, not talking to Dak or Mike McCarthy. I mean, you figure the GM or even Stephen Jones is going to say something to Mike McCarthy. I just think that for a 4th round pick to possibly get a backup quarterback, and yeah, if Dak balls out, cool. Maybe that lit the fire underneath. And again, those interceptions last year, look, I've been hard on Dak, and I said, prove it. When get to an NFC championship game. Yes, obviously would love to win a Super Bowl, but my point is get to an NFC championship game. Like, you had the offensive line in front of you. You still have a very good offensive line in front of you. You have a defensive coordinator that people really wanted to be a head coach again, that that I love, because I mean, what he did in Seattle, like every week.
Do you think Seattle, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. Do you think that if the season doesn't go as people, more importantly, as your fans anticipate, do you think that switch will be made and then he would become the interim head coach if McCarthy was to get fired?
I don't think Jerry, I mean, look, we know he'll do whatever the hell he wants. His team's worth $10 billion now, so he can do whatever the hell he wants. But that being said, come on. The guy is 24-10 the last 2 years. Like, I get you want to playoff wins. Aren't too many coaches that are 24-10 the last 2 years. I mean, our guy Belichick's not, like it is a what have you done for me lately league. You and I understand that. But like, yes. I don't think it would happen. I think that, look, if they were not to get to the playoffs, you became offensive coordinator, Jerry Jones, and I said Kellen Moore, like, I don't get Mike McCarthy. Like, you want to keep him on, fine, but like sit down, get some of the West. You don't have to fully change it to a full West Coast scheme, but get kind of some of the Andy Reid, concepts. The obviously homage to the late great Bill Walsh. I mean, get some of those West Coast concepts that Mike McCarthy cut his teeth in. Like, get it in. And
right.
Dak, I mean, some of those interceptions last year, as much as I have been hard on Dak, and Megan would give me crap, but like I'm sorry, Eric, if I put it in your hands and it goes right through, like, yeah, it's an interception for me, but that's on you. Like, catch the damn ball. It's in your hands.
Let me ask you another question, Mike. Remind me on this one, right? Didn't Mike McCarthy come from the Mike Holmgren tree?
Oh, yeah.
Where is that? Like
that's what I'm saying. That's all the Bill Walsh tree. They all coached under Bill Walsh. Like,
so, what is missing there? Because I guess there's an expectation as someone such as yourself who grew up in the 80s and 90s watching these great games and these, these offensive and defensive minded coaches who
but
were
even the early 2000s, Eric. I mean, it wasn't until like the mid 2000s where they started like really struggling because Jerry,
So what are we? So and I'm talking specifically from the coaching aspect. What are they missing? Because I just remember growing up thinking to myself, these guys are passing along knowledge. You talk about Bill Walsh, you talk about Bill Parcells, you talk about Mike Holmgren. Look at some of the guys who have come from those teachers.
Right.
Okay.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid had Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni. Yeah, Nick Sirianni. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I'm saying Andy Reid came from that though too.
Right.
He was in San Francisco.
Gruden came from that, even though his, but I'm just like, how is that style of coaching not still being utilized in today's game? I granted the game has evolved.
Right.
But I expect more from McCarthy, I guess. No matter what team he's on, I just expect more from him because of where he came from.
Yeah, no, look, everybody said, oh, Aaron Rodgers did this and that for him. And I mean, then it became like Aaron Rodgers would get cranky with play calling, but wouldn't audible out a lot of times. So what's true, what's not? Yeah, I mean, look, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it has evolved. Like, yes, when Bill Walsh, I mean, even like you said, those 90s Cowboys with like when they started improving, like Troy Aikman, as much as people hated the Cowboys, I said to people like if you look at Troy Aikman's career numbers, I mean, yes, the playoff victories, you can see it. The Super Bowls, obviously. The leadership, I mean, the intangibles. But if you look at his numbers, I mean, are you going to say he's a Hall of Fame quarterback? Now, yes, it means more than numbers. Like, and it's sad when people don't get voted into the Hall of Fame because writers, oh, that guy was a jerk. Like, okay, and I'm not even talking about, I know I mentioned Darren Woodson earlier. How is it, Eric, because I know you and I as little kids could not stand this guy. How is it that Art Monk had to wait like 25 years to get in the Hall of Fame? Can you explain that to me? Yeah. Like, there was only 2 receivers that were in, or 3 receivers, I think, in the Hall of Fame that had overall better quote-unquote numbers. But tell me how many times Art Monk broke your heart. I mean, and not in the NFC East, yes, but I mean, like, it's ridiculous to me. But it does evolve. And if you're Mike McCarthy, to answer your question, like, you have to evolve, but some of the same concepts can still be there. Kellen Moore fired himself with that last play in San Francisco. How do you have Zeke snap the ball? Yeah, exactly. Hey, Mike Patton, real quick shout out, man. I don't hear you talk. Go ahead, say Pac-4 again. But this year it's still the Pac-12. They were undefeated this weekend, Mike Patton. I love you, buddy. But yes, Art Monk. See, I know you can say smart things, Mike. You're a smart guy, and you got a great name too. But come on, anyway. But no, I mean, you have to evolve, Eric. And I think Mike McCarthy. I think when you get a great quarterback, when you get a generational quarterback, as much as you and I might not be able to stand Aaron Rodgers' body language, nobody can deny the talent. I mean, people say Tom Brady, like, I'm sorry, there are throws Aaron Rodgers made I know Tom Brady can't make. Just like when we talk about, like, Allen and Mahomes, there's not a throw that Mahomes makes that Allen can't make. Like, their talent level, arm talent, like, yes, it takes a lot more. You can't just sling the ball downfield, as you and I know. But, like, when you get a generational quarterback, and I'm not calling Dak that. Do I think Dak can win a playoff games? Do I think Dak could win a Super Bowl within a system like that? Yeah, as long as you run the ball. Now, look, Zeke being gone, everybody last year saying, I mean, the dude's 28 years old. If you let Tony Pollard start this year and Zeke in goal line situations, which I think he'll play a little bit more than that in New England, but I'm just saying, Eric, to me, it wasn't yeah, at the money he was going to get, you can't bring him back if you're just going to use him like that. But
So who's your guy, really quick? So who's your guy this year? If Pollard's counting the load, who is your guy this year that's going to be? Is it going to be Dowdle, or is it going to be Vaughn? Or I mean, who's it going to be?
well, Deuce is loose, baby. We used to watch Deuce Vaughn, and I know obviously his dad's, in the scouting department and that thing. I mean, that story is really cool. But look, as a special teams player, as a change of pace back, Eric, I mean, people, of course, when you're short, it's like they're always going to say, like, oh, if you're short, like, oh, Darren Sproles is. Like, Deuce Vaughn at Kansas State, like, he had no business playing D1 at, 5 foot nothing. But I'm sorry, as you and I both know, you can't catch 4-3 when it's in the open field.
Nope.
So it's hard to catch 4-3, 4-4. Yeah, are there guys in the NFL that can run them down? Sure, but I'm saying if you're on the other side of the field, good luck. Like, so I think Deuce will get play, obviously returning kicks, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you have to look at it as now like it's Tony Pollard's show, which I'm not. I love Tony Pollard. Last year, I kept getting messages. I don't know if I told you, like, people were like, why are you hating on Tony Pollard? I love Tony Pollard, but you know my theory. Less is more. So, like, if you give Tony Pollard the ball more, cool. Like, Zeke doesn't have to carry the load. Like, that'll be better for him. Give it to him, 20 and in. You want to go with Zeke because he's a bruiser? Go with it. Like, mix it up. But, like, I can't – it's going to be interesting to see because when you look at the receiving core, I mean, yes.
Mike, you don't have a receiving core.
Oh, come on, man. Brandon Cooks is going to be fine.
Mike,
dude, no,
Mike, stop it.
That's where you're wrong.
Stop
That's where you're wrong.
Stop it.
You're wrong.
Mike, you my brother of 16 years. Stop it.
Get out.
You do not have a receiving core.
Get out. Okay, well.
You have CeeDee Lamb.
Let's just say you're going to be proven wrong, and when you are, I will accept your humble and grown-up apology.
Let me look into the camera so you understand what I'm saying to you right now. Michael Caratanuda, with all my heart, you are one of 9 people who is a Cowboys fan that I love, honor, and respect. You, the Dallas Cowboy, your team, does not have a core, okay? All right. You have CeeDee Lamb.
You are entitled.
You have Brandon Cooks, who is pretty much going to be, I say this is his last stop before he is no longer in the NFL. And Michael Gallup, okay? I just don't see where you can call that a core.
Okay,
right?
Well, when Jalen Tolbert has a very solid year, you're gonna remember you said that. Jalen Brooks, I don't know about. Tolbert, I do. I'm with you on that. But I'm just saying, like, you have an offensive line. Terrence Steele just became a very rich man. Zach Martin got a raise, and that is the best right guard in the game.
Wait. Hold on. You guys got Zach Martin?
Yeah, he got a raise like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, well, I wasn't paying attention because 2 weeks ago I didn't care about the Cowboys.
It's the Cowboys, right. Well, you never do. 2 weeks.
You're right. I never do. You're absolutely right. So Zach Martin is back.
Oh yeah, Zach Martin. Yeah, he got his.
All right. Well, then that changes now my perspective because I thought he still wasn't in. So
no, and Terrence Steele just got a raise too. Their right tackle, so their right guard and right tackle, Tyron Smith. They reduced the workload a little bit because Tyron Smith out of USC is their left tackle, and the rookie last year who had a hell of a season, Tyler Smith. So you got Tyron and Tyler.
Yeah,
both on the left side. So that'll no. And I mean, look, I will say this: Tyler Smith last year did go play left tackle as a rookie in the beginning of the year because the hamstring, which is a terrible injury, it was a non-contact in practice, and as we saw, it just blew out. Which again, any team, any person, even your Eagles non-contact injuries, I hate to see. But
yeah, agreed.
I will say that that line, look, it's set, and I agree. What was it? Mike said that more big play opportunities with Tony Pollard, but I mean, that is there. We saw when they went into Minnesota last year. I know it was a night game, and the worst part is you know what? I'm going to remind everybody of this all this year too. Every time you rip Kirk Cousins, you had the nerve to pick Minnesota in a night game against Dallas, who whomped them 41-3. The only time your pick was close is when the game kicked off, and that was it. So, yeah, you picked Kirk Cousins. So, Eagles fans, for all you Eagles fans, Eagles Nation out there, Eric picked Kirk Cousins. So, when he rips on him from now on, just remember he picked him. That being said,
Would you give me your pick? We still got my team to get to, and we're
yes,
almost
oh no,
at. Could you give
oh
me
no.
your squad,
You
please?
know what? This year, look, to me, it is about the defense. Your guy, our guy, banging the drum for Penn State. Yeah,
Micah
you see that
Parsons.
over the weekend? Micah Parsons out of
Yeah, I
Pitt
saw it.
banging the drum.
Yep. Of
Yeah,
course
that's
I
right.
did.
And I did appreciate him real quick talking trash to Des Bryant. Des Bryant's like, yeah, I got West Virginia upset over Penn State, and he said, "At Micah Parsons, please don't be mad at me." Micah Parsons responds back, "Man," he goes, "Man, you've had some." He goes, "You have the worst takes on Twitter." It was perfect, man. It was perfect. But
Mike, what you pick?
you know what? I they lose to Buffalo. I will say that because it's December 17th. That's gonna be a tough one. They kicked the crap out of Miami. But I'm going one more. I'm giving them one more win because my guy Dan Quinn and that defense, 13-4 this year, baby, division champs.
Because you have Zach Martin, Mike, and even though I'm going to pick against him, I'm still going to give you 10 wins.
All right. Well, I mean, 10 wins overall in that division. That's very that's very gratuitous of you. I'm
All
giving
right.
you guys 12 wins. I'll tell you right now,
Oh,
but I
you
want
are?
to get
Okay,
into why.
thanks. Thanks,
No, I
Mike.
mean, I got you guys at 12-5, one game behind us.
All right.
Look,
So let's talk about the team that matters.
look,
Finally.
I'll go first and keep it short, seriously, because it's your team. So look, they got your boy Kelsey back. You know I love him at center. My Lotta, obviously, he stays healthy at left tackle, which and everybody thinks I'm crazy when I've said this to you on air. I want your team fully healthy when we beat you because when and if we play you, because if we beat you, I don't need damn excuses from. And you're not as bad as the rest of the people that hammer me. But I'm just saying, no. But look, getting Kelsey back is huge. Obviously, it's huge for Jalen Hurts. It's the best relationship. People say a tight end is the best thing for which Dallas Goddard, pretty money. Um, uh, but is the quarterback center. And the fact that Kelsey's back, and look, your defense, you did lose some guys. We do know that. And you did lose coaches. And the one thing people can say about Kansas City's run until this year, like it's been Bieniemy and Spagnuolo with Andy Reid. So this is the first year everybody's like, why can't City keep having so much success? Well, kind of like New England. They really didn't lose coordinators for the longest time. So to me, that'll be interesting. Do I think talent-wise, as much as it pains me to say this, you guys are right there. Yeah, I mean, look, you got A.J. Brown discussing. Dallas Goddard, I mentioned. Awesome. Devontae Smith, I mean, this kid, he's too skinny, this and that, coming out of college. And as much as I tease you about Justin Jefferson, if they would have passed on Devontae Smith, I'm like, I would have choked you. I would have went to Philly and smacked him in the face for you because I wouldn't have understood that either. Like, this kid is sick. And look, defensively, like I said, there's going to be things. Jonathan Gannon's not there. Are they going to forget how to win? No. Do they have, unfortunately, good leadership? Yes. So that's why I'm saying I'm going. Look, I'm going 12-5. They're going to have interesting games. I mean, the rematch with Kansas City, I think, is going to be fun. The two games with the Cowboys, obviously, always going to be fun. If you want to look, if you want the one in Philly, if you want to do a broadcast, I'll suck it up. I'll do it.
No, I'm not doing one with you. No.
All right, but
No.
12-5 for your Eagles.
All right. Oh, I have waited the entire preseason to get this off my chest. So here's the thing when it comes to Philadelphia. Last year, I was unsure of how things were going to be, but as y'all know, I bleed green. I wear it on my sleeve. Y'all see it. It's just who I am, okay? I am not like most, and I've been told this. I am not like most Philly fans. I am not as boisterous with regard to my team and our successes and our failures. Trust me, I am more critical of us than I am more complimentary of us, but that's just who I am. I've always been that way. Last year, what did I say? I said two things about Philadelphia, referring to the Eagles. Be consistent, beat the Cowboys. And that's what they were. To start the season off 9-0, 10-0,
9-0.
9-0, until we got to Washington, a divisional opponent, and lost to them. This team showed me that no matter what, we were a unit. We stuck together, and we did what was necessary. There were games that, I mean, first off, week 1 against Detroit last year, a back and forth matchup in Ford Field, which came down to a field goal. We won 38-35. That's how we started our season. How did we end our season? We lost in Glendale, Arizona at the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs 38-35. What does that show me? That shows me that this team has the necessary components, those complementary pieces that the sports reporter without pay, Ray Lynn's talked about, has the leadership qualities that Mike talked about. But most importantly, and this is the thing that everybody, including myself, has to finally stand up and acknowledge, we have our quarterback. We have our guy. Okay. From the days of Randall Cunningham to Donovan McNabb to Michael Vick to now Jalen Hurts. I don't care what other team in the NFL there is, a black quarterback can be successful in Philadelphia. I'm gonna let that marinate for a second because I want y'all to. I'm gonna say it again for the people in the cheap seats. A black quarterback can be successful in Philadelphia. With that being said, Mike hit the nail on the head. I challenge everybody. I don't care who you are. Change my mind that Jason Kelsey is not the best center in the NFL. Change my mind. Good luck. Don't worry. I'll wait. Okay? Not to mention, if you look at Lane Johnson, a guy, yes, who has had a few injuries here and there, when that man plays, you know ain't nobody coming on the right side to get to our quarterback. You want to talk about the wall that exists? I'm telling you, from Mailata to Johnson and all points in between, have fun and try to get to our quarterback. And if you are successful, because we've seen it happen, oh, remember that the brother got some wheels and he can, in fact, scramble if necessary. Now, let's talk about the weapons. Where I said Mike does not have, or I'm sorry, the Dallas Cowboys don't have a wide receiving core. Well, Philly does. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. And yeah, I'll throw in Dallas Goddard because we're throwing in receivers, but he's our tight end, who I anticipate is going to have a great year this year at the position.
Who's he named after, though?
If it wasn't just me and you on the screen, I would take you off this damn screen.
I'm sorry. I love
But
you.
we have a core group to where it doesn't matter left side, right side, slot, A. It's all love.
And how
Now
about your
let's talk.
stable of running backs
I
that
was
all
getting.
do
You know
different
what?
things?
Hey, zip it.
I
I
was,
didn't interrupt you when you were talking about your team.
I was just asking you a question. I'm
I'm getting there.
complimenting.
I'm getting there.
All right.
I'm getting there. Thank you. Let's talk about the running backs since Mike wants to bring it up. Yeah. DeAndre Swift, Rashard Penny, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. I'm telling you right now, Boston Scott going to special teams is going to be dangerous for a lot of people. Be prepared. As one of my favorite Disney villains, Scar, says and sings very beautifully, be prepared if Boston Scott is in the special teams and he's running some stuff back, y'all gonna be in some trouble. Trouble. Just letting you know. I haven't even got to my defense. Everybody's like, how did Jalen Carter fall to Philadelphia? Well, you know what? That just goes to game recognized game, iron sharpens iron, and the talent that is there. So now you got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, N'Kobe Dean. I mean, the Georgia Bulldogs just came all to Philly and said, all right, the doghouse is now here. You can forget about Cleveland. The doghouse is here in the
Oh
215
wow!
at Lincoln Financial.
Wow!
Okay? Y'all can have a pound. We got the house. But again, I will center it all back to it starts and ends with how we are consistent. We lost by 3 points, even though we played, in my opinion, a much better game than Kansas City did. At the end of the day, they're the champs. We're not. It's very difficult to not only win our division back to back, which hasn't been done in quite some time, but to make it back to the Super Bowl. But I will say this, the saving grace for us is the fact, excuse me, is the fact that if you look at the entire NFC, the only two teams we got to fear are San Francisco and Dallas. Let's call it what it is. Those are the three teams in the entire NFC that I fully anticipate will be in postseason. Everybody else is up for grabs. I want Detroit to be in there. Don't know if it's going to happen. Whoever comes out of the NFC South, you're the sacrificial lamb to the number 5 seed. I'm gonna call it right now.
Wow.
Whichever team comes out the NFC South, be it the Saints, be it the Bucks, be it the Falcons, be it the Panthers, you are the sacrificial lamb to the number 5 seed. Because I tell you this much: if you are so fortunate enough to get either Dallas or Philly, don't even bother showing up, because you gonna get spanked. You gonna get ramrodded. You gonna get a mud hole stomped in your ass and walk dry. I'm putting it out there right now. So with that being said, last year I said 11-6. Mike, I'm gonna meet you this year and agree with you and say my team goes 12-5 because we do play Kansas City. We do play Buffalo. Divisional matchups are always up for grabs.
Well, the good
So
news
I
is it's
don't know.
after your bye, though. I mean, you play
Yeah,
Dallas, then you get a bye. I mean, again, yes, it's the NFL, it's tough, but then you go to Kansas City, Buffalo back to back, which is it's the NFL. People want to see games like that. They're supposed to be great games. That's why the NFL, even though it might not have, and I've said this throughout the years. I mean, Philly does. All the NFL might not have the pageantry and the tradition of college. But like you don't expect a team to go undefeated. You want to see great games, and when the talent the level of talent is like kind of blurred, between these lines, like you guys get a decent week by, and then you have those two tough games coming out of it. So let me ask you one question though, before you the record too, because I know obviously the way you showed up to the press conference, we all made fun of Nick Sirianni in the beginning.
yeah.
Has he still? I mean, I know at times he still has to annoy you a little bit, right? When you see certain antics, not that he's like losing his head like a chicken with his head cut off on the sidelines, but certain antics. I mean, as a fair Eagles fan, does he still drive you crazy a little bit?
Of course he does. But so do you.
Well,
And we've been 16 years.
going on 17.
Going on 17. Yeah, he still does. Listen, I will never forget the first impression that man gave me, but has he changed my mind? Yes. Am I fully a believer in his abilities? Yeah, I'm probably about 75-25. Because the man could be better. I will say this. Had we won last year, I'd probably be on the bandwagon.
Well, I'd say he's got the pulse of the team, though.
He's got the pulse of the team. He's got the pulse of the city. The man has got it.
Right.
I am just still, I gotta keep just that little bit about me that's like, okay, bruh, are you for real? Like, I see what you've done, and I respect where you have brought us, but we ain't there yet. Now we get there, and I might be like, okay, all is forgiven. Right. You cool. We good. You can come to the cookout. But right now.
Right. And the journalistic side of me, the only thing that annoyed me last year was when he, obviously Frank Reich got fired in Indy. I didn't think he should have been either, but just the way he handled the presser afterwards, kind of like, you go after an interim coach, like not really going after him. He didn't say it, but it's like, dude, the guy like Jeff Saturday probably shouldn't have been hired. We all said that, but like, he's there. Like, that's the only thing that annoyed me as much as and outside of coaching Philly. But, to have the pulse of your team to know and they respond. And again, when you have a defense like that, when you have guys going absolutely and playing out of their minds, insane every week. And yeah, and his press conference too, like we said, because you and I both were like, dude, how you show up like that's your opening presser. I'm not saying you got to wear a $5,000 suit, but I don't know. Maybe you might. Yeah, Dave.
Do something. Listen, I was scruffy about half an hour ago. I put this together in less than 10 minutes to make sure I showed up and looked correct, but that's another story for another time. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for us. We are going to attempt to do a show on Wednesday to give you our Super Bowl prediction, our MVP, and to give everybody an opportunity to change their picks, because Thursday night, it starts. It is on. It is Kansas City, the reigning defending Super Bowl champs, versus the sports reporter without pay and Dom DeRubis, Detroit Lions. I'm very curious to see how everybody picks it's week 1. So you know what I mean? It's on. And yes, I said Dallas is 10-7 this year, but y'all already know. In my heart, I want them to lose. I do. But like I said, Christmas Eve, I might give y'all a Christmas present. I might just do it. But as I say, every Sunday during football season, there are 2 teams I cheer for. My Philadelphia Eagles
And the Dallas Cowboys.
Whoever's playing Mike's Dallas Cowboys. But I will say this, Mike. Do you play the Vikings this year?
I know we. I don't think we do.
Okay.
No, you
Because
do.
I was gonna say,
You
if
guys
you
do.
did play if you did play, and I'm looking at your schedule before we get out of here, really quick. Let me see.
Yeah, no, we don't have the Vikings. You do though.
I know.
Because
Thursday night matchup.
yeah, it's after we. I was gonna say that to you. It's a night game, so we all know who we're picking.
Right. I was gonna say, Mike, if you did play the Vikings this year, I was gonna do you a solid. I was gonna pick the Cowboys that game, unless it was a 1 o'clock game. Just saying, if it was a 1 o'clock game, that's it. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, from my brother from another mother, Mike Caratanudo, ASU Forks Up Sun Devil Pac-12 review Mondays and Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Your man Eric Wilson. We will see you on Wednesday night. Season starts on Thursday and the weekly pick'ems. Ooh, this is going to be a good year. Everybody stay blessed. Happy Labor Day, y'all. Peace.